The alarm bells rang through the Galactic Council's monitoring station like the screens of dying stars. Commander Zexthara 6's eyes widened as she stared at the data flowing across her screens. Something was wrong with the humans. Very wrong. For 300 years, the Council had watched Earth's third planet with careful attention. Humans were predictable in their unpredictability. They fought wars, made peace, broke treaties, and generally acted like every other young species in the galaxy. But this morning, something had changed. The first sign came from Ambassador Jake Morrison's office on Earth. His latest trade proposal had arrived at the Council headquarters an hour ago. Zexthara read it again, her translator struggling with the unfamiliar tone. "We humbly request the Council's gracious consideration of our modest proposal," it began. "If it pleases the honored members, we would be deeply grateful for any guidance you might offer." Jake Morrison, the same human who had once told the Regellian trade delegation that they could take their offer and shove it where their sun doesn't shine. The same man who had walked out of 3 diplomatic meetings because he didn't like the color of the conference room walls. Now he was using words like humbly and gracious. Zexthara's assistant, a young Altarian named Fulano, brought more reports. Captain Lisa Bennett of the Earth Defense Force had sent a formal apology for any inconvenience caused by their patrol ships. She had actually apologized for doing her job. The message included a gift certificate to a human restaurant and an invitation for alien visitors to tour Earth's military facilities. "Get me Dr. Creolon," Zexthara ordered. "Now." The Council's chief expert on human behavior arrived within minutes. Dr. Creolon was a tall, thin creature from the vegan system. His species had been studying humans longer than anyone else, mainly because they lived close enough to Earth to be regularly bothered by human space traffic. If anyone could explain this bizarre behavior, it would be him. "Commander," Dr. Creolon's voice came through the translator with obvious concern. "I've been monitoring the situation all morning. The behavioral changes are spreading across human space like a virus." More reports flooded in. Admiral Pete Jackson had sent a thank you card to the Centauri Defense Fleet for gracing human space with their noble presence. A thank you card, with little hearts drawn on it. The same admiral who had once challenged an entire alien fleet to single combat because they had parked in his favorite asteroid field. Colonel Mary Foster, known throughout the galaxy for her creative use of profanity, had sent a message praising the admirable professionalism of every alien military unit she had encountered in the past week. She had used the word please 17 times in a single paragraph. Dr. Creolon pulled up charts and graphs on the main display. The politeness index has increased by 847% in just 3 standard weeks. This is unprecedented in human history. Even during their most desperate wars, humans never displayed this level of courtesy to outsiders. Zexthara felt a chill run through her scales. What does this mean? In all our studies of human behavior, we've identified certain patterns. Humans become unusually polite in only 3 situations. First, when they're planning something terrible. Second, when they're hiding something dangerous. Third, when they've already done something terrible and are trying to distract everyone from noticing. The implications hit the room like a physical blow. Every species in the galaxy knew the stories about humans. They were the ones who had turned a simple trade dispute into a 3-system war. They were the species that had invented 17 different ways to kill someone with a dinner fork. They were the creatures who had once declared war on an entire planet because they didn't like the way the aliens looked at them. And now they were being polite. "Sir," Felino interrupted, "we're receiving a priority message from President Helen." Craig's office. The message appeared on the main screen. It was written in elegant script on official government paper. "Dear friends of the Galactic Council," it began. I would be deeply honored if you would consider joining me for a friendly dinner at the White House. I understand that your time is precious, and I would be forever grateful for any moment you might spare for this humble human. Please know that your presence would bring great joy to our entire planet." The silence in the room was deafening. President Craig was the same woman who had once punched an alien ambassador in the face during a peace negotiation. She had been banned from diplomatic functions on 12 different planets. And now she was inviting the entire council to dinner. "Emergency session," Zexthara announced. "Call every member of the council. Priority Alpha." Within an hour, representatives from all 12 major species had gathered in the council chambers. The great hall buzzed with nervous energy as creatures from across the galaxy shared their own disturbing reports about human behavior. Kilthok of the Procyon Alliance spoke first. "3 of our trade vessels reported that human customs." Officers actually smiled at them, and said, "Welcome to human space." One officer even offered them coffee and asked about their families. High Counselor Vexthara of the Zephyrian Empire added her concerns. "Our intelligence networks report that humans are working longer hours, producing more goods, and conducting mysterious training exercises in remote sectors. But they're doing it all with smiles on their faces. They're actually happy." Happy humans were historically the most dangerous humans. The galaxy had learned this lesson the hard way. Dr. Creolon presented his analysis to the assembled council. "Ladies, gentlemen, and honored members, we are facing an unprecedented situation. Based on all available data, I can only conclude that humanity is preparing for something massive. Their politeness is either a distraction technique or preparation for negotiating from a position of tremendous strength." The evidence was overwhelming. Governor Tom Bradley of Mars Colony had sent fruit baskets to 3 different alien embassies. Captain Rick Thompson had personally delivered handwritten thank-you notes to visiting delegations. Chief Engineer Bobby Chan had been sharing technical specifications with alien advisors while praising their invaluable contributions to galactic progress. "The pattern is clear," Dr. Creolon continued. "Throughout human history, extreme politeness has preceded major conflicts. Before their Great Pacific War, diplomatic correspondence became unusually courteous. Before their European conflicts, peace negotiations were filled with elaborate pleasantries. The correlation is undeniable." The council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The Andromedans whispered among themselves in their musical language. The Regellians' fur stood on end. Even the normally calm vegans seemed agitated. "What are you recommending?" Zexthara asked. "Emergency protocols," Dr. Creolon replied without hesitation. "We need to discover what the humans are planning before they spring whatever trap they're setting. This level of politeness can only mean one thing. They're confident they're about to win something big." The vote was unanimous. The Council's emergency response plan would be activated immediately. Trade routes would be quietly adjusted. Military forces would be repositioned. Diplomatic immunity would be extended to all Council representatives. In human space. As the meeting ended, Zexthara looked out at the stars where Earth's yellow sun glowed in the distance. Somewhere on that blue planet, humans were being nice to each other and to aliens. The thought terrified her more than any weapon ever could. The galaxy was about to learn what humans did when they decided to be polite. And everyone was afraid of the answer. The Council's historical research team worked through the night. Their task was simple but terrifying. Find every instance in human history where politeness had preceded disaster. What they found in the archives made even the bravest alien warriors nervous. Dr. Felmora, the Council's chief historian, spread the evidence across multiple screens in the main research chamber. She was a patient creature from the Andromeda system, known for her careful analysis and calm demeanor. But today, Her voice shook as she presented her findings. "A pattern goes back centuries," she began, her translator rendering her musical tones into standard galactic speech. "Every major human conflict has been preceded by a period of unusual diplomatic courtesy. The correlation is perfect, 100%. The first example appeared on the main display, ancient Earth documents from something called the Great Pacific War showed months of polite exchanges between human nations. Diplomatic messages filled with phrases like, 'with greatest respect' and 'your humble servant.' The politeness had lasted exactly 6 months before the humans started dropping atomic weapons on each other. Note the escalation pattern, Dr. Felmora continued. The more polite they became, the more devastating the eventual conflict. This suggests that human politeness is directly proportional to their confidence in victory. Commander Alan Stewart of the colony ship New Horizon had recently sent a message that made everyone in the research chamber uncomfortable. He had thanked the Altarian Mining Consortium for their generous patience and understanding regarding territorial disputes. The same disputes that had been causing problems for 3 years. The same disputes that Stewart had previously addressed with phrases like, "back off, or we'll make you back off." Now he was using words like generous and understanding. The research team had analyzed his message 17 times. The politeness level was off the charts. Colonel Mary Foster had sent an even more disturbing communication. She had praised the Centauri defense fleet's admirable professionalism during a recent border incident. The same incident where her ships had been caught conducting unauthorized scans of Centauri military installations. Instead of the expected defensive response, she had sent compliments and an invitation to visit human space stations. "Sir," interrupted Dr. Zilthek, a young researcher from the vegan system, "we've discovered something else. The humans are not just being polite to us, they're being polite to each other." This was perhaps the most alarming discovery yet. Internal human communications showed the same pattern. Military commanders were thanking their subordinates. Politicians were praising their opponents. Even human criminals were being more polite to their victims. The research team had intercepted a message from Governor Tom Bradley of Mars Colony to his counterpart on Europa Station. Instead of the usual complaints about trade regulations and territorial boundaries, Bradley had written, "Your wisdom and leadership continue to inspire us all. We are grateful for your patient guidance and look forward to many years of fruitful cooperation." The same Tom Bradley who had once threatened to blow Europa Station out of the sky during a fishing rights dispute. Dr. Felmora brought up more examples. Captain Rick Thompson had personally delivered thank you notes to every alien delegation that had visited his sector in the past month. The notes were handwritten on real paper with actual ink. Each one was personalized and mentioned specific details about the visits. Thompson spent an estimated 47 hours writing these notes, Dr. Felmora explained. This represents more effort than he has ever put into any single diplomatic activity in his entire career. The historical pattern was becoming clearer. The research team had identified the exact timeline. First, humans became polite to their enemies, then to their allies, finally to each other. The process took anywhere from 3 to 6 months, depending on the scale of whatever they were planning. "How much time do we have?" asked Commander Zexthara. "Based on the current politeness escalation rate, I estimate we have between 4 and 8 weeks before they reveal their true intentions." Dr. Felmora replied, "The most disturbing evidence came from President Helen Craig's recent activities. She had personally called every alien ambassador on Earth to thank them for their service. She had invited 12 different species to tour the White House. She had even learned to say hello in 17 different alien languages. This was the same president who had once declared that aliens can learn English or get out of human space. Now she was taking language lessons and hosting tea parties. Intelligence reports flooded in from across human space. The pattern was everywhere. Chief Engineer Bobby Chun had been working 18-hour days on classified projects while maintaining cheerful correspondence with alien technical advisors. His recent message to the vegan engineering corps had included detailed technical specifications and an invitation to collaborate on future innovations. He's sharing technology, Dr. Zilfik noted. Humans never share technology unless they have something better in development. The implications were staggering. If humans were confident enough to share their current technology, what were they working on in secret? The research team had identified 17 different human research facilities that had increased their activity levels by over 300%, all while sending polite updates to alien observers. Dr. Janet Murphy, Earth's leading xenobiologist, had been the most cooperative scientist in galactic history over the past 3 weeks. She had shared research data freely, praised alien contributions to science, and invited collaboration on projects she had previously guarded like state secrets. Murphy called our research invaluable and inspiring, Dr. Felmora said. She has never used positive adjectives to describe alien work, ever. Historical research revealed another disturbing pattern. Human politeness was not random. It was strategic. They became polite to the species they planned to defeat first, then worked their way down the list. The order of politeness was actually a target list. According to our analysis, Dr. Felmora continued, the Regellians received the first polite messages, then the Centaurians, then the Altarians. The pattern suggests they're planning to deal with each species in sequence. General Caddy Phillips had been hosting cultural exchange programs with visiting alien military observers. She had personally toured them through human military facilities while discussing mutual cooperation and shared galactic security interests. The tours had been so comprehensive that several alien officers had reported learning more about human military capabilities in 1 week than they had in previous years of intelligence gathering. She's showing them everything, Dr. Zilfek observed. Either she's confident they can't use the information against humans, or she wants them to know exactly what they're facing. The research team had also discovered that human industrial output had increased across all sectors. Mining operations were running at maximum capacity. Shipyards were working around the clock. Manufacturing facilities were producing goods at unprecedented rates, all while human officials sent thank you messages to alien suppliers for their continued partnership. Businessman Frank Rogers had been offering below-market prices to alien corporations while apologizing for any inconvenience in the negotiation process. The same Frank Rogers who had once cornered the galactic electronics market by driving 3 alien companies into bankruptcy. He's underselling everyone, Dr. Felmora explained. Either he's planning to eliminate the competition permanently, or he's stockpiling resources for something bigger. The evidence was overwhelming. Every piece of data pointed to the same conclusion. Humans were preparing for something massive. Their politeness was not a sign of weakness or genuine friendship. It was preparation for war. The research team worked frantically to decode the human strategy. They analyzed communication patterns, trade flows, military movements, and industrial output. Every graph showed the same trend. Increasing politeness matched with increasing preparation. They're confident, Dr. Felmora concluded. Humans are only this polite when they're absolutely certain they're going to win. The question is, win what? The answer would come sooner than anyone expected. But first, the galaxy would discover just how dangerous humans could be when they decided to be nice. The investigation began at dawn on 17 different worlds. Covert surveillance teams deployed across human space with one mission: discover what the humans were hiding. The Council's best intelligence operatives, trained in the art of observing without being observed, scattered throughout the galaxy to watch humanity's every move. Agent Kylanara of the Centauri Intelligence Service had been watching humans for 15 years. She prided herself on understanding their behavior patterns. But as she monitored the activities around Earth's orbital shipyards, she found herself completely confused. The humans were working harder than ever, but they seemed genuinely happy. About it. "Base, this is Kylanara," she reported through her encrypted communication device. "The humans are definitely building something. Production has increased by 400% in the past 3 weeks. But they're singing while they work. Actual singing." The report from Agent Kylanara was just one of dozens flooding into the Council's intelligence center. Every surveillance team reported the same thing. Humans were working at maximum capacity while maintaining their unnaturally polite behavior. The combination was more terrifying than any weapon. Dr. Janet Murphy had become the focus of intense scrutiny. The Earth scientist had been sharing research data with alien colleagues for 3 weeks straight. Agent Vextal, a shapeshifter from the Regellian system, had been posing as a research assistant in Murphy's laboratory. His reports painted a picture of scientific cooperation that defied everything the galaxy knew about human nature. "She's giving away decades of research," Vextal reported. "Yesterday, she handed me her complete files on antimatter containment. When I asked if she was sure, she said she was delighted to contribute to galactic scientific progress. I've never seen a human delighted about anything." The surveillance teams discovered that Murphy had been working 16-hour days for weeks. Her laboratory was producing breakthrough discoveries at an impossible rate. She had solved 3 major physics problems that had puzzled galactic scientists for centuries. And she was sharing everything freely while praising alien contributions to her work. Dr. Murphy sent a message to the Andromedan Science Council, Agent Vextal continued. She called their recent paper on quantum mechanics brilliant and groundbreaking. She invited them to collaborate on her next project. The same woman who once locked herself in her laboratory for 6 months to avoid working with alien scientists. Chief Engineer Bobby Chun had become another primary target of investigation. Agent Zilmora, a technical specialist from the vegan system, had infiltrated the human engineering corps as a visiting consultant. What she found in Chun's workshops challenged everything she thought she knew about human psychology. "He's building something incredible," Zilmora reported. "New engine. Designs that could revolutionize space travel. Weapon systems that make current technology look primitive. Communication devices that could connect every world in the galaxy. And he is documenting everything in detail." Chun had been working around the clock, but he took time to personally greet every alien visitor. He gave detailed tours of human engineering facilities. He explained complex technical concepts with patience and enthusiasm. He even shared classified specifications with alien technical advisors. "Yesterday, he showed me blueprints for a new type of shield generator," Zilmora continued. "When I asked if he was allowed to share military secrets, he laughed and said, 'Knowledge should be free.' Then he gave me a complete technical manual and asked if I wanted to help build a prototype." The investigation revealed that Chun had been corresponding with engineering teams across the galaxy. His messages were filled with technical details, collaborative proposals, and expressions of gratitude for alien expertise. He had invited 12 different species to visit human research facilities and participate in joint projects. But the most disturbing discovery came from surveillance of General Katie Phillips, Agent Kintara, a military intelligence specialist from the Procyon Alliance, had been monitoring Phillips for 2 weeks. What she found shattered every assumption about human military thinking. "She's showing them everything," Kintara reported in disbelief. "Complete facility tours, detailed explanations of defensive systems. She even demonstrated new weapon prototypes for visiting alien officers. Either she's completely insane, or She's absolutely confident that knowledge won't be used against humans. Phillips had been hosting cultural exchange programs with military observers from every major species. She personally guided tours through human military installations, while discussing mutual cooperation and shared galactic security interests. The tours were so comprehensive that several alien officers reported learning more about human military capabilities in 1 week than they had in years of intelligence gathering. She took a group of Rigelian officers to the weapons testing facility. Kintara continued. She demonstrated new plasma cannon designs and asked for their technical opinions. When they suggested improvements, she thanked them and implemented their ideas immediately. I've never seen anything like it. The surveillance teams also discovered that human industrial output had exploded across all sectors. Mining operations on asteroid belts were running at maximum capacity. Shipyards were working around the clock, producing vessels at unprecedented rates. Manufacturing facilities were creating goods faster than ever before. Agent Felkara, monitoring the Mars mining operations, reported that Governor Tom Bradley had been personally thanking workers for their efforts. He's visiting every mining site daily, she reported. He shakes hands with workers, asks about their families, and gives bonus payments to anyone who exceeds production quotas. The same man who once fired an entire crew for taking lunch breaks. The investigation revealed that Bradley had been sending regular updates to alien mining consortiums, sharing production data, and offering below-market prices for rare minerals. He had invited competitors to visit human mining facilities and observe their operations. He's either planning to eliminate the competition permanently, Felkara concluded, or he's stockpiling resources for something that requires massive amounts of raw materials. President Helen Craig had become the subject of the most intensive surveillance operation in galactic history. Agent Tixnara, a diplomatic specialist from the Zephyrian Empire, had been monitoring Craig's activities from inside the White House. Her reports painted a picture of a leader who had undergone a complete personality transformation. She's learning alien languages, Tixnara reported. She spent 3 hours yesterday practicing Rigelian pronunciation. She's taking cultural sensitivity training. She's reading books about alien psychology and philosophy. She's even changed her diet to accommodate alien dietary restrictions at diplomatic functions. Craig had been calling every alien ambassador on Earth to thank them for their service. She had invited representatives from 12 different species to tour the White House and participate in policy discussions. She had even established a new department dedicated to interspecies understanding and cooperation. Yesterday, she signed an executive order declaring next month Galactic Friendship Month, Tixnara continued. She's planning parades, festivals, and cultural exchanges. She personally invited the entire Galactic Council to attend. The same woman who once referred to aliens as unwelcome visitors is now planning parties in their honor. The surveillance teams discovered that Craig had been working with human media outlets to promote positive coverage of alien species. News broadcasts now featured stories about alien culture, science, and achievements. Children's television programs included alien characters as heroes and role models. But perhaps the most troubling discovery came from Agent Kolvara, who had been monitoring human military training exercises. Her reports suggested that humans were preparing for something that required unprecedented levels of coordination and precision. They're conducting joint training exercises with alien military units, Kolvara reported. Human and alien forces working together in complex scenarios. They're sharing tactical information, coordinating strategies, and developing new combat techniques. It's either preparation for a massive alliance or the most elaborate deception in galactic history. The investigation revealed that humans had been inviting alien military observers to participate in their training programs. They provided detailed briefings on human military doctrine, shared tactical manuals, and requested feedback on their procedures. Captain Lisa Bennett personally invited me to observe a training exercise, Kolvara continued. She explained every tactical decision, answered all my questions, and asked for suggestions on improving their performance. When I pointed out weaknesses in their defensive positions, she thanked me and immediately ordered changes to address the problems. The surveillance teams worked frantically to piece together the human strategy. Every piece of evidence pointed to massive preparation for something unprecedented. The scale of human activities suggested a project that would affect the entire galaxy. They're confident, Agent Kalanara concluded in her final report. Humans are only this cooperative when they're absolutely certain they're going to win. The question is, what game are they playing? The answer would shock the galaxy. But first, the Council would have to decide how to respond to a threat on Lick. The emergency session lasted 18 hours. Representatives from every major species in the galaxy gathered in the Council's Great Hall, their voices creating a symphony of concern and fear. The holographic displays showed surveillance reports, intelligence analyses, and behavioral predictions. All of them pointed to the same terrifying conclusion. Humans were planning something massive. Ambassador Zil Thak of the Procyon Alliance stood at the central podium, his blue skin darker than usual with stress. Fellow council members, he began, his voice echoing through the chamber, we face an unprecedented situation. When humans become polite, they are either planning conquest or have already achieved it. We must act immediately. The evidence was overwhelming. In the past 3 weeks, human productivity had increased by 500%. Their military forces had been conducting mysterious training exercises in remote sectors. Their scientists had made breakthrough discoveries at an impossible rate. And through it all, they had remained unnaturally polite. I propose immediate economic sanctions, Zilthak continued. We must limit human access to galactic markets until we understand their true intentions. Their recent trade proposals are clearly designed to lull us into a false sense of security. The proposal gained immediate support from the Rigelian delegation. Ambassador Kexthara, her fur standing on end with agitation, added her voice to the call for sanctions. Businessman Frank Rogers offered to sell us rare minerals at 30% below market value, she reported. He apologized for any inconvenience in the negotiation process. This is not normal human behavior. Rogers once charged us double the market rate for basic supplies. High Counselor Vexthara of the Zephyrian Empire raised her concerns about human military activities. Our intelligence reports suggest that humans are preparing for something that requires unprecedented levels of coordination. General Katie Phillips has been hosting cultural exchange programs with our military observers. She's showing them everything. Either she's completely insane, or she's absolutely confident that knowledge won't be used against humans. The military. Implications were staggering. Captain Lisa Bennett of the Earth Defense Force had been conducting joint training exercises with alien forces. She had shared tactical information, coordinated strategies, and developed new combat techniques. The level of cooperation was unlike anything in human history. She personally invited our officers to observe classified training exercises, Vexthara continued. She explained every tactical decision, answered all questions, and requested feedback on their performance. When our observers pointed out weaknesses in their defensive positions, she thanked them and immediately ordered changes to address the problems. Dr. Creolon, the Council's chief expert on human behavior, presented his analysis with obvious distress. The pattern is clear, he announced. Humans are exhibiting what we call pre-victory politeness syndrome. They only become this cooperative when they're absolutely certain they're about to win something significant. The Council's historical research had revealed the truth about human politeness. Every major human conflict had been preceded by a period of unusual diplomatic courtesy. The more polite they became, the more devastating the eventual outcome. The correlation was perfect across centuries of human history. "We must assume they have developed some form of ultimate weapon," Dr. Krialon concluded. "Their confidence suggests they believe they can defeat any opposition. Their politeness is preparation for negotiating from a position of absolute strength." The Council's military advisors presented their recommendations with military precision. Admiral Kethenera, commander of the combined fleet, outlined a defensive strategy that would protect galactic civilization from whatever the humans were planning. "I recommend immediate repositioning of all major fleet elements," she announced. "We must establish defensive perimeters around critical systems while maintaining the appearance of routine exercises. If humans are planning conquest, we must be ready to respond." The military preparations began immediately. The Council's most advanced warships moved quietly into position around human space. Intelligence networks activated their deepest cover agents. Diplomatic channels buzzed with coded messages as species across the galaxy prepared for the worst. But the most disturbing reports came from the surveillance teams monitoring human research facilities. Dr. Janet Murphy had been working 16-hour days while sharing breakthrough discoveries with alien scientists. Her laboratory was producing innovations that could revolutionize galactic civilization. She solved 3 major physics problems that had puzzled our best scientists for centuries, reported Agent Vextol. She shared her complete research data with alien colleagues and invited them to collaborate on her next project. The same woman who once locked herself in her laboratory for 6 months to avoid working with alien scientists. The implications were terrifying. If humans were confident enough to share their current technology, what were they working on in secret? The surveillance teams had identified 17 different human research facilities that had increased their activity levels by over 300%. Chief Engineer Bobby Chun had become a particular focus of concern. He had been working around the clock on classified projects while maintaining cheerful correspondence with alien technical advisors. His recent messages to the vegan engineering corps included detailed technical specifications and invitations to collaborate on future innovations. "He's building something incredible," reported Agent Silmura. "New engine designs that could revolutionize space travel. Weapon systems that make current technology look primitive. Communication devices that could connect every world in the galaxy. And he's documenting everything in detail." The Council's technical experts analyzed Chun's public research with growing alarm. His innovations represented advances that should have taken decades to develop. The fact that he was sharing them freely suggested that humans had made even more significant breakthroughs in secret. Governor Tom Bradley of Mars Colony had been another source of concern. He had been sending fruit baskets to alien embassies, while increasing mining operations to maximum capacity. His facilities were producing rare minerals at unprecedented rates, while he offered below-market prices to alien buyers. "He's either planning to eliminate the competition permanently," concluded economic analyst Falcara, "or he's stockpiling resources for something that requires massive amounts of raw materials." The Council's economists calculated that human industrial output had increased by 400% across all sectors. Shipyards were working around the clock. Manufacturing facilities were producing goods at impossible rates. Mining operations were extracting materials faster than ever before. President Helen Craig had become the subject of the most intensive surveillance operation in galactic history. She had been learning alien languages, taking cultural sensitivity training, and inviting representatives from 12 different species to tour the White House. Her transformation from hostile isolationist to galactic diplomat was complete and terrifying. She signed an executive order declaring next month Galactic Friendship Month, reported Agent Tixnara. "She's planning parades, festivals, and cultural exchanges. She personally invited the entire Galactic Council to attend. The same woman, who once referred to aliens as unwelcome visitors, is now planning parties in their honor. The Council's diplomatic experts analyzed Craig's recent activities with growing concern. Her invitations were too detailed, too personal, and too comprehensive. She wanted every alien leader in one place at one time. The implications were obvious. "It's a trap," declared Ambassador Kilthek. "She's planning to eliminate the entire galactic leadership in one coordinated strike. Her politeness is preparation for the ultimate betrayal." The evidence seemed overwhelming. Humans had increased their military capabilities, revolutionized their technology, and stockpiled massive resources. They had studied alien weaknesses, learned alien languages, and mapped alien systems, all while maintaining perfect politeness. "We must decline all human invitations," recommended the Council Security Chief. "No alien leader should visit human space until we understand their true intentions. Their politeness is too perfect to be genuine." The Council voted on emergency measures with unprecedented unanimity. Trade restrictions would be quietly implemented. Military forces would be repositioned for defensive action. Diplomatic immunity would be extended to all Council representatives in human space. But the most important decision was the activation of the Suspicious Human Politeness Response Plan. The theoretical contingency had been developed years ago by paranoid military planners who had assumed humans would eventually become too dangerous to ignore. "All alien personnel in human space will be given code words for immediate evacuation," announced Admiral Kethanera. "We must assume that human politeness is the calm before the storm. When they reveal their true intentions, we must be ready to respond with overwhelming force." The galaxy held its breath as the Council's plans took effect. Species across known space prepared for the worst-case scenario, humans being nice as a prelude to total war. The irony was lost on everyone except the humans themselves. The stage was set for the most unnecessary crisis in galactic history. The universe's most feared species had decided to. The truth began to emerge during what humans called First Contact Appreciation Week. The irony was not lost on anyone who understood what had really happened. The galaxy's most feared species had been preparing for the ultimate surprise attack. Genuine friendship. It started with a simple message from Dr. Stephen Parker, a human sociologist who had been quietly working in a small university on Earth. His research paper, titled Optimal Interspecies Relations, a study in behavioral modification, had been published in an obscure academic journal 3 months earlier. What nobody in the galactic intelligence community had realized was that this paper had gone viral among humans. Agent Tix Nara, still monitoring President Craig's activities from inside the White House, was the first to notice the connection. While reviewing communications logs, she discovered that Craig had been receiving daily reports from the Department of Social Sciences about public response to Parker's research. "Base, this is Tix Nara," she reported through her encrypted channel. "I've found something unusual. There's a human academic named Stephen Parker who seems to be connected to all this. His research on interspecies relations has apparently influenced government policy, but it's not what we expected." The breakthrough came when Agent Vextal, still embedded in Dr. Murphy's laboratory, intercepted a conversation between Murphy and her research team. They were discussing Parker's paper and how it had changed their perspective on working with alien scientists. Dr. Parker proved that cooperation produces better results than competition, Murphy explained to her team. His research showed that sharing knowledge accelerates discovery for everyone. We've been approaching interspecies relations all wrong for decades. The revelation hit the intelligence networks like a shockwave. The humans weren't preparing for war. They weren't planning conquest. They weren't developing ultimate weapons. They had simply read an academic paper that convinced them to be nicer to aliens. Dr. Creelon received the reports with complete disbelief. "This is impossible," he declared to his research team. "Humans don't change their fundamental behavior. Patterns based on academic papers. There must be a deeper strategy." But the evidence kept accumulating. Surveillance teams across human space reported the same thing. Humans were carrying copies of Parker's paper. They were discussing it in coffee shops, sharing it on communication networks, and implementing its recommendations in their daily lives. Captain Rick Thompson, who had been personally delivering thank you notes to alien delegations, was discovered to have highlighted passages in Parker's paper about the importance of personal gestures in building trust. Governor Tom Bradley's Fruit Basket Initiative came directly from a chapter titled Cultural Exchange Through Symbolic Gifts. The galactic intelligence community struggled to understand the concept. Agent Kylanara, monitoring the orbital shipyards, filed a report that captured the confusion perfectly. The humans are working harder and being nicer because a professor told them it would make aliens like them better. There is no secret agenda. There is no hidden weapon. They just want to be friends. The revelation spread through the Council's intelligence networks like wildfire. Every surveillance team confirmed the same impossible truth: humanity's greatest weapon was an academic paper about being nice. President Craig's dinner invitation, which had triggered galaxy-wide panic, turned out to be exactly what it appeared to be. She wanted to host a friendly dinner for alien leaders. Her staff had spent weeks planning menus that would accommodate different alien dietary requirements. They had hired translators, prepared cultural briefings, and arranged entertainment that would appeal to various species. "She's not planning to poison us," Agent Tixnara reported with obvious confusion. "She's planning to serve 17 different types of food because she wants everyone to feel welcome. She's learned to say hello in alien languages because she thinks it's polite. She's reading books about alien culture because she wants to be a good hostess." The Council's emergency session reconvened in chaos. Representatives who had spent weeks preparing for war found themselves facing a crisis of understanding. The galaxy's most feared species had decided to be polite based on scientific research that suggested cooperation worked better than conflict. "This changes nothing," insisted Ambassador Zilthik. "Humans are still dangerous. Perhaps more dangerous now that they're being strategic about their niceness." But Dr. Creelon's final analysis shattered even that interpretation. "The paper is genuine academic research," he reported to the assembled council. "Dr. Parker conducted extensive studies on interspecies cooperation. His conclusions are scientifically sound. Humans read his research and decided to implement his recommendations. There is no conspiracy. There is no hidden agenda. They're being nice because science told them it works better." The evidence was overwhelming. Chief Engineer Bobby Chun had been sharing technology because Parker's research showed that collaborative development accelerated innovation. Dr. Murphy had been cooperating with alien scientists because the paper proved that diverse perspectives improved research outcomes. General Phillips had been hosting military exchanges because the study demonstrated that understanding prevented conflicts. "They're following the recommendations of a sociology paper," Dr. Creelon concluded. "Humans have weaponized politeness not through military strategy, but through academic research." The investigation teams discovered that Parker's paper had been downloaded over 500 million times. It had been translated into every human language. It was being taught in schools, discussed in government meetings, and implemented by military commanders. The paper's central thesis was simple: cooperation with alien species would benefit humanity more than competition or conflict. Parker had used mathematical models to prove that shared resources, combined knowledge, and peaceful coexistence would accelerate human development by centuries. Humans read a research paper and decided to be Nice, Agent Felkara summarized in her final report. They increased industrial production to have more goods to share. They developed new technologies to contribute to galactic progress. They trained their military forces to work with alien allies instead of against alien enemies. They did all of this because a professor proved it was the smart thing to do. The revelation created unprecedented confusion in the council chambers. Military commanders found themselves preparing for peace instead of war. Diplomatic corps struggled to respond to genuine friendship offers. Economic analysts tried to calculate the value of gifts freely given. The final proof came when President Craig's dinner invitation was accepted. Council representatives who attended discovered that humans had simply decided to be good galactic citizens. The White House dinner featured foods from 12 different worlds. The entertainment included performances by human and alien artists. The conversation focused on shared goals and mutual cooperation. They made us feel welcome, Ambassador Kilthek reported after the dinner. President Craig asked about our families, our cultures, and our homeworlds. She listened to our answers and asked thoughtful follow-up questions. She seemed genuinely interested in understanding our perspectives. The dinner menu included dishes prepared according to traditional alien recipes. Human chefs had spent months learning to cook foods that would appeal to different species. They had even arranged for special atmospheric controls to ensure that methane-breathing species could attend comfortably. She served Rigelian honey cakes, reported Ambassador Kexthara, made with actual honey imported from our homeworld. When I asked how she obtained the recipe, she said she had spent weeks corresponding with Rigelian cultural attaches to ensure she prepared them correctly. The evening's entertainment featured a human orchestra performing music from across the galaxy. They had learned compositions from 17 different species and performed them with respectful accuracy. The program included a speech by President Craig thanking each species for their contributions to galactic civilization. She mentioned specific achievements by each of our peoples, reported High Counselor Vexthara. She had clearly researched our histories and cultures. She spoke about Zephyrian poetry, Centauri engineering, and Andromedan philosophy with genuine appreciation. The Council's post-dinner analysis concluded that humans had achieved something unprecedented. They had terrified the entire galaxy by being genuinely nice. Their politeness wasn't preparation for war. Their cooperation wasn't a trap. Their generosity wasn't a trick. Humans remain the most dangerous species in the galaxy, Dr. Creolon wrote in his final report, not because of their capacity for violence, but because of their ability to fundamentally change their behavior overnight. They can become our greatest enemies or our greatest allies based on a single academic paper. The galaxy remained on edge, but for different reasons. If humans could transform themselves from aggressive competitors to cooperative partners in 3 months, what would they do next? The unpredictability that had made them feared as enemies now made them equally unpredictable as friends. The Council quietly filed the Suspicious Human Politeness Response Plan under Partially Successful and began developing new contingencies. The next time humans decided to try something different, the galaxy would be ready. Or at least, they would try to be.